I ain't tryna bring you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all around. The more things I lost, the more I found. One thing I taught myself to do, no matter the problem, refuse to lose. So, how you want it, man? You can choose. If you can't take the heat, don't light the fuse. See, I walk in slow and ignite the room. Like fire, everything I touch, I consume. I'm getting up while y'all just snooze. While you make breakfast, man, I'm on the move. I'm the first one in and the last one out. Whoever owns the place gotta drag me out. In me I trust, yeah, I smell like success. This Elon Musk, huh? Everybody wanna be like us. We don't stop, cause the top just ain't enough, huh? I ain't never gay, no, I ain't scared, man. You know black men don't blush, huh? Came here ready to fight on this night. You better just run for your life. Won't you come and see what it's like, living by the rules that you write. You ain't know those lavish delights. Now you had no back in sight. All the little lies you recite just makes all the savage unite. Usually I'm very polite, but I'ma get savage tonight. Even when the dog being nice, every single dog gonna bite. You might think I'm wrong, but I'm right. Just let it get a strong appetite. I'ma let it breathe just a little. Give it to you strong, heavy metal. I don't make a sound when I strike. You better just run for your life. Run for your life.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Carton Ellis. Today, I'm joined in the studio live by my good friend Cody.
How you doing?
As well as Ed Thomas, our bodyguard extraordinaire. Also, via the interwebs, we are joined by the Ward librarian, none other than Jonah Barnes, large and in charge, the associate professor of all things apocryphal, here to talk to us about some super interesting stuff. Apparently, Ed and Jonah have been following an intriguing story that has been developing in Ecuador, in South America, okay, where archaeologists are discovering 2,000 years of urbanism in Ecuador that was previously unknown. And this is some intriguing stuff, okay? I mean, Lidar has been coming up with all kinds of stuff in Mexico, in the Yucatan. Now it's coming up with all kinds of good stuff in Ecuador that is revealing civilizations, dare I say, entire people groups that were unknown to archaeology before. And I love how Brian Stutzman says, if ever a prophecy of Joseph Smith hasn't come true yet, just wait a bit. It looks like the patience of many has been rewarded, because throughout this episode, we're going to be talking about some really, really cool archaeological finds and the science behind them that reveals, as the title says, 2,000 years of super cool civilization that was heretofore, great word, heretofore, unconsidered, right? So anyway, before we go any farther, though, Jonah has to fulfill his calling. He needs to magnify his calling as ward librarian. And there's some Ward Radio wigwam business to attend to. Jonah.
Yes, we are delighted to have received the records of Brother Golden Paw Life Adventures
All those who would like to welcome Brother Golden Paw into the Ward Radio Worship, please do so by putting a W in the chat.
A golden
Welcome
W.
to the Celestial Kingdom.
Yes, a golden W. Ooh. All right. I put in my golden W. Ooh. So today we're the Ward Radio Worship, not the Ward Radio Wigwam. Is that what you're saying,
I guess.
Ward Librarian?
Oh, no. What are we today?
Let's be the Ward Radio Worship. I think that's awesome. So anyway, great. Jonah, Ed, tell us what's going on.
Jonah, Ed and I just flew back from Quito, just landed this afternoon. We've spent the past several weeks bushwhacking through the Amazonian jungle of the highlands of southern Ecuador around the Upano Valley. And we had to get back here. There were a number of unidentified bug bites that Ed had that we needed to get treated with American medicine. So we were life-flighted out of there pretty quickly. The engine actually caught fire and ended up crashing down in the Caribbean. But I'm a pretty good swimmer, and I threw a little rope around my waist, managed to get us back to Houston, which was worse than the Amazonian jungle. And so we had to get out of there because of the bugs and the humidity there. But eventually we made it back to L.A. So here we are with our findings. I think Ed had a curse put on him by some toothless lady along the road. I don't know.
Technically a hex by a shaman. Yeah.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so recent usage of Lidar. Everybody know what Lidar is? Cody, do you use Lidar? Do you have a Lidar machine in your garage?
Not frequently, no. I don't use one.
But you're familiar. I mean, you dabble,
right? Isn't that Jurassic Park at the beginning, right?
Lidar? No, wait. Lidar is...
They put the thing in the ground, and it shoots and makes like a sonar shockwave, and they can like map stuff underground, right?
Yes, that is ground-penetrating radar. Lidar is light infrared. I can't remember. It's like drones flying on the sky that shoot down lasers that can actually make... It's similar. Yes, it's similar. For all intents and purposes, Cody got the answer right. It's similar. Keep going, Jonah.
I always thought that it was what my mother used to detect whether or not I was telling the truth. She would always call it Lidar.
No, those are the E-meters, bro. Keep going.
But yes, so using new Lidar technology, what Lidar does is you fly a plane over a jungle and you shoot Lidar down. It's like a radio wave, like a wave that does not react on foliage. Because the Amazon is just covered in foliage. It's covered in leaves and in organic material. It penetrates through that and hits the ground and bounces back. So it can create a map of the topography underneath the canopy of the jungle. That's what's so cool about Lidar. And so you can kind of sift through all the rest of the stuff and actually get a topographic map of what's going on below. And they've just started using this technology. It's very expensive technology. And so thank you for all your super chats that made it possible for us to buy our own Lidar machines. And we, yeah, go ahead.
If I can say, and Lidar is somewhat similar to MRI, where you can get deep inside a person's brain or heart and do layers of stuff. That's how it gets past the canopy.
Well, look at these pictures that they're coming up with. Like, this is absolutely intriguing stuff. So we've known about Lidar for a while. In fact, 2 years ago, that great National Geographic video came out talking about additional Mayan pyramids that had been found. But I mean, now these videos and these images coming out of Ecuador are absolutely intriguing. Look at this.
Well, the first one, that's Guatemala from 2009.
Oh, okay. No wonder. I was going to say, okay,
yeah.
I got my pictures mixed up. Okay. So
but they're still quite amazing. So they discovered this site a while ago, but they haven't been able to map it completely and do a real comprehensive, because the farther they look, the farther it goes. And so they've had to wait for this technology to really catch up so they could do a total over aerial kind of view of the whole settlement. And they've just kind of released their findings.
And it's
astounding.
Yeah, these aren't members of the church either. I mean, I'm looking at this, and here's a research article, under the auspices of anthropology, saying 2,000 years of garden urbanism in the Upper Amazon by Stéphane Rostaing, Antoine Dorisson, Jeffrey Desaliers. These all sound like Frenchmen, right? And this just came out only a couple of weeks ago. Okay, and here's the abstract.
Oh, not even that. It was January 11th.
Oh, it was January 11th.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
awesome. So it was a week ago. And here's the abstract. A dense system of pre-Hispanic urban centers has been found in the Upano Valley of Amazonian Ecuador in the eastern foothills of the Andes. Fieldwork and light detection and ranging, so that's what it stands for, analysis have revealed an anthropized landscape with clusters of monumental platforms, plazas and streets following a specific pattern intertwined with extensive agricultural drainages and terraces, as well as wide straight roads running over great distances. Geez, it's almost as though, the Book of Mormon got it right on the nose that there were massive civilizations. In the areas that scientists, remember, said we couldn't excavate because they were just a bunch of savages. You know what I'm saying? Like, we look back on modern, quote, modern science thinking like, oh, that did not age very well. You know what I'm saying? That did not. The Book of Mormon ages very, very well on its approach to the indigenous peoples of the Americas. Modern, quote, science does not age well, right? By the way, speaking of books aging well, later on in this podcast, we're roping in Cody. He's here today because he is helping me with a collectible card game in which he has to read the Book of Mormon in order to help develop the cards, kind of like Magic the Gathering. We're making a collectible card game. And it's actually pretty awesome because Cody's reading the Book of Mormon. He's gone through the first 7 to 10 pages about. And I'm telling you, this is pure comedic gold, guys. As soon as we get done talking about Ecuador, like all the modern archaeology of the old Book of Mormon, we're just having a straight outsider read it. And let me tell you, it is so funny. Like, I was rolling in my seat on the way to the studio today, just doing pre-production for this. And hopefully Cody delivers. Hopefully,
thanks. Thank you for that, by the way. This is a very comfortable way to lead me in. Appreciate it.
Hopefully Cody delivers. All right.
You need to give him Alma chapter 11 with all the Nephite coinage, all those bizarre words in there, and just let him roll.
Just let him roll. It's like, what is this?
It's been slow going. I'm not a religious person. I don't practice or read much biblical text. So just kind of getting through the weird way those texts are written, where they're constantly readdressing and rephrasing, like so-and-so's at the place and the place is where so-and-so is and he's doing this at the place. And it's just kind of jarring, I guess. It's been slow going getting through it. But once I kind of this is what they're trying to say. They're just going about it in this very weird, verbose way all the time. But
yeah, verbose. I like that
also
term.
Just about the Ecuador thing. One thing I think is kind of interesting is I was wondering, you guys kept talking about this Ecuador thing. I'm like, what Ecuador thing? I actually had heard about this when it happened. And I think it's fascinating. I didn't even know this had any connection at all to the Book of Mormon or anything like that. I had this kind of contextualized to me as being interesting in the idea that almost framing kind of the Amazon and the wilderness there is it's kind of saying this maybe isn't these ancient forests, but the post-apocalyptic ruins basically of these giant civilizations. And they keep finding them buried underneath it. And it's well, if this is on top of the civilization, the forest couldn't have been here before the civilization, right? The forests are on top of it, or have grown over at the very least. They have one point where at the very least leveled to be built on, right? So I just kind of thought it's funny. That was the kind of framing I saw it as, kind of historical relevance to why these cities being there could mean that our view of history has changed. I had no idea that it had anything to do with the Book of Mormon. So that's kind of funny that it actually did tie together that way.
Dude, now, did you guys not notice here? Now, we're not veering into Cody's section yet, but actually, we're blending the two right now. Because this Lidar stuff and Cody's observation, you are just pure gold on this live stream, Cody, because you stumbled on the perfect word. You called it, if this is what's above the ruins that are down below, that means that this has to have been some kind of post-apocalyptic canopy on top of the ruins, right? Why did that ring bells with everybody in the audience, Jonah? Tell us why that rings bells, my man.
It's all, the Book of Mormon actually says that there were these giant civilizations cruising around in the New World until an apocalyptic event wiped them out. And they had to kind of restart from scratch, just like Cody, just like the Oracle. This is why we call him the Oracle, people. Did you hear this? This is why we call him the Oracle. He just kind of knew. He said it's almost like, and he perfectly articulated the general arc of the Book of Mormon.
How'd you know that we used to call him Cody the Oracle on my old show? Have I said that on this show?
Dude, everybody knows Cody the Oracle. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
Everybody knows this.
Well, too kind.
Yeah, and for everybody out there, so Cody and Cardin probably deserve a lot of credit for getting Ben Shapiro his start. You know, Ben started here in L.A. Their show, Problem Solver
I
Politics.
talked to him once.
Yeah.
Ben who? I don't understand. Ben who?
Ben Shapiro used to be just a local kid.
They,
Like, he literally
how is
used to be a
related
local
Cody?
kid.
I don't even know who this guy is.
I've
How is he
never-
related to Cody?
I have never met Ben Shapiro, by the way.
they are way too humble, but they paved the way basically for the whole.
Well, and Barack Obama. I paved the way for Barack Obama too. I mean, now that we're taking credit for things we don't deserve, I just want to shoot. I want to shoot for the moon. You know.
they deserve it, especially Cody, because the FM AM radio show they did was just fascinating. You can imagine Cardin is a little bit trying to be funnier than reality, and Cody is always trying to bring
Trying to be, dog. Savage.
He's definitely funny. He's the comedy guy. He's the stand-up guy.
I just got called a tryhard by a dude that could be old enough to be my dad.
I could.
Like, that is savage, man.
Well, okay, so I don't want to go too. Sorry, what you're saying.
I was just gonna say, and Cody was always the voice of reason, almost like the Brad Whitbeck-ish. But it was great political show, just a great political show.
All right,
Well,
cool.
thank you. Well, just sorry, before we move off the Ecuador thing, I had one last question generally about this.
Yeah.
And that is knowing this now. Because again, like, I thought it was kind of funny. I was reading something, and again, potentially it was like a Mormon who was like trying to be like underhanded and not make any deal of it. But again, someone was just reading saying like, this is kind of fascinating seeing these ruins. But anyway, it brings me to the idea of, so is like Percy Fawcett and like the Lost City, like, is that kind of something that the Mormons like, because he was convinced there was lost cities buried into the jungle in South America and he went missing there. Is that a story that you guys ever kind of find interesting or fascinating or kind of bring up? Because it sounds like what he was doing.
Yeah.
So you're talking about
You're
talking about Percy Fawcett, the original explorer that was kind of the archetype of Indiana Jones, actually. He's the basis of the movie The Lost City of Z, or The Lost City of Zed. Right? That Percy Fawcett, am I correct?
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, the
awesome.
Lost City of
explorer.
Z, yeah.
The famous explorer. And
So-
he was basically trying to prove this like 100 years ago.
Now, yes, from what I understand, I don't know if necessarily like so Percy Fawcett was actually originally called to the Amazon over a border dispute to try and find the fountainhead of a very specific river, right? And so he exercised that. And he completed that, he finished. And in that time, he had myriad encounters with the indigenous peoples and realized basically that the snub-nosed British / institutional sciences approach to the indigenous people of America was just absolutely wrong. They looked down on them as just silly savages and, Cleveland Indians, shall we say, for lack of a better term. But when in reality, he was finding pottery, he was finding ruins that would have required grand scale engineering, so on and so forth. And so I think some mental illness driven to somewhat to like some cabin fever madness, you know what I'm saying? And he never came back. And his specific thesis,
he went missing in Brazil,
Yeah.
looking for the lost city. Yeah, he got lost in the. He went like deeper into the jungle than anyone. He got lost. They couldn't find him. They lost contact.
He vanished.
I know they lost contact with him, but wasn't he searching for what was the modern iteration of basically El Dorado, not necessarily for a civilization, but for a city? So, I mean, I know that's a small nuance, but anyway, I veer verbose. You're right. I'm splitting hairs. This is stupid.
But like in principle is the idea that there was these ancient civilizations. And again, like I think when you talk about like a city of gold, the idea of like, a city of like immense wealth, not like a bunch of farmers and huts somewhere. Like this was like a big, massive city. And it's just out there somewhere lost and we can't find it. I just think it's interesting that, because one, this is, I mean, I don't know exactly the geography, but I'm pretty sure where he went missing in Brazil and where they found the city I don't think that close necessarily. Yeah. But still, the idea is that like in a way, it's almost like exonerating him. I think it's funny that ties in, like I said, the Book of Mormon, where he was like, there was ancient civilizations here that people can't find. And then people are like, he's crazy. He just went out in the woods and got lost. And now it's like 100 years later. We're like, well, no, like there was ancient civilizations out there people couldn't find.
Yeah. So anyway, here's the reason why I love the word that you used, exonerate, because Jonah, read this abstract. Actually, I'll read it. You can't see it because I'm putting it on the screen right now. But the abstract says something.
This gets better, guys.
Yeah.
This gets better. Listen to this.
Archaeological excavations date the occupation from 500 BCE, which is also known as BC for people that aren't betas. Archaeological excavations date the occupation from 500 BC to between 300 and 600 AD, also known as CE. The most notable landscape feature is the complex road system extending over tens of kilometers, connecting the urban centers, thus create a regional scale network. Such extensive early development in the upper Amazon is comparable to similar Mayan urban systems recently highlighted in Mexico and Guatemala. So literally, Cody, you've read the first now 7 or 8 pages of the Book of Mormon. Did you happen to notice in the footnote when the Book of Mormon starts?
Oh, no. I haven't got to the footnotes yet.
I'll beat you to the punch. I didn't expect it. If you did that, I should have said $100 for the winner.
I would have thrown a number out then, too.
The Book of Mormon. Why not? The Book of Mormon spans a time period between 600 BC. Basically, exactly. It says 6 centuries before the coming of Christ. To when does Moroni bury the plates? It's 400 AD, right?
421.
421 AD. Yeah. So they're literally, talk about Percy Fawcett being exonerated. Talk about Joseph Smith pegging the nail on the head. All right. To some of these civilizations that people said could not have even existed and were full of just, silly troglodyte simpleton subhuman folk. Now all of a sudden there's archaeological abstracts made by not members of our church saying that excavations date the occupation of this previously unknown massive civilization from between exactly when the Book of Mormon says it would have started to exactly when the Book of Mormon says it would have ended. And then we still have to field comments like on this video. There are absolutely no archaeological evidence for the Book of Mormon in the New World, and this couldn't happen because we just don't want it to have happened because science, right? And then when you actually
being an anti-Mormon means never having to say you're sorry. For 200 years, they've laughed and laughed at these claims that there were giant civilizations in the New World. These civilizations came and went. They would take each other over. They would huge migrations of people in the old world, or that their technology was such that they could sustain large populations, huge militaries and armies, field huge armies, that they could do earthworks like building fortifications around cities and things. We were laughed to scorn for 200 years about this stuff. And then when one thing gets proven to be plausible, they just forget about it and move on to the next. Forget about it. Move on to the next. Forget about it. Move on to the next.
That's exactly.
This is just another example of a giant civilization that was totally unknown, which I think is the most important discovery in this discovery is that it was discovered, that no one had a clue this existed until just now. That there was a civilization, there was a city or a network of cities in the Upano Valley in southern Ecuador that was sustaining a population of perhaps hundreds of thousands of people. That's more than Rome in 500 AD, people.
Whoa, really? Huge city network. And that no one had a clue it existed. These things are hidden in the Amazon. We have done, relatively speaking, compared to Europe or Egypt or the Middle East, we have done almost negligible amounts of archaeology in the New World. And so for people to laugh and say there's no evidence the Book of Mormon could have existed, it's like, well, yeah, we've had 2,000 years excavating the old world. We get here to the New World and everything has been totally overgrown with jungle, and yet wherever we look, we're finding giant cities and huge networks and road networks and earthworks and these things. How many times do you have to be wrong before you go, gee, maybe the Book of Mormon actually... maybe we take it back. Maybe that is a perfectly plausible book. We literally have more evidences, I should say, of the possibility, dare I say probability, dare I say existence, whatever euphemistic word you want to feel hedges your bets enough. All right. We have more evidences now that the Book of Mormon could have unfolded exactly as prescribed than we do that, like, Alexander the Great made it to half the cities that, the legends claim he made it to. All right. I mean, when you compare HMD, all right, dating manuscripts, Okay, when you compare HMD dating of manuscripts to the hard science coming out of Lidar, I mean, there's no comparison here. And we're not making any specific claims yet. It's only been 10 days. We would love to dive into more of the details and so on and so forth. But all I can say is, in the words of Jim Bennett, who said this wonderfully, cons never age well. In fact, they just get worse over time. The Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith, and dare I say now Percy Fawcett, all right, you know what I'm saying, is aging real well. All right, these guys are aging real well. And oftentimes, you got to follow the money and see what's going on. And we have, look, the funding information for these excavations is super interesting. It's the, I wish Brad were here. Brad could totally crush this, but it's the Institut de Recherche pour le Développement. I'm just kidding. I don't know how to say that.
So they're all French and German universities and institutions, and there's a couple Ecuadorian institutions because you can't dig up anything unless you're affiliated with the country.
Yeah, by the way, the Ecuadorian institution is the Banco Central de Ecuador. It's literally the central bank. Yeah, I bet you those are the guys that are claiming first dibs on every artifact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, wow, here's the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Here's the Instituto Nacional de Patrimonio Cultural, which literally means the National Institute of like homegrown culture, right? And then the bank. The bank there's some filthy banker that just bankrolled this whole thing. And he's just walking in at the end as he stuffs his shirt into his suit pants and saying, oh, yeah, I want that gold statue over there. That would look good in my living room, And my daughter wants that wooden pony. You guys could take the rest to the National Museum,
Well, yeah, I mean, if they do find some hypothetical lost city of gold buried under the Amazon, right? Like, who gets it?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's going to be a question people are asking each other is who actually possesses this stuff now, but
Ecuador will claim it.
Okay, this is a total aside, and I don't want to get us down a rabbit hole too deep. But have you guys heard that completely epic conspiracy theory? I don't even like calling it conspiracy theories anymore because, conspiracy theories, you just got to wait a couple years and they end up being just like news stories. But anyway, have you guys heard that conspiracy theory that the Smithsonian was created in order to hide all of the like historical secrets of the United States of America? Because like every time there's something controversial, people send it to the Smithsonian for verification, and we don't realize that we've completely centralized the narrative as to the indigenous peoples of our nation by simply creating one museum that handles narrative control. Like that is one of my favorite conspiracies of all.
Oh. Carden, I didn't realize you were a fan of the Black Museum conspiracy. We could go.
Is that what it's called?
Into that. The John Wesley Powell conspiracy, Cyrus Thomas conspiracy. Oh, brother, we could go on and on.
Oh, okay. There's 3 podcasts that we got to do.
Yeah,
are you aware of these, Cody? Are you aware of these, my man?
No, but it is funny. I'm gonna read. This is the mission statement of the Smithsonian National Museum. Just with what you said, it says our mission is to promote understanding of the natural world and our place in it. The museum's collection tell the history of the planet and are a record of human interaction with the environment and one another. Well, like I said, just with the framing you gave it, as it's like intentionally designed, yes, to tell you this is what happened exactly, and this is exactly what we did. That's the funny thing with this kind of stuff, right? Where it seems, assuming they have good intentions, it's awesome, right? Hey, I want to know about people and stuff. But yeah, at a certain point, it's like, why do they get to tell us? Who says they know?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a whole podcast, how that went down. But in one of the articles here by Smithsonian Magazine, coincidentally about the Ecuadorian discovery, they say it's a gold rush scenario for Americans, archaeologists, to run down there and check this out. Here's my reaction to that. Oh, please don't. Please don't. Let the French, let the Ecuadorians, let them look this up. Please don't get the Smithsonian involved, okay? Because what they're going to say is, these earthworks were damaging the climate. That's what is really the story here. It's like, you know what? Just stay in America, okay? Let these people dig up their own ruins, okay, and do an unbiased and apolitical job of the thing. But we also have some super chats that we need to get to here.
Oh, okay, cool. Hit it.
Super chat from Ben Christensen.
All right.
He says, I made The Ward of the Rings with AI this week. Have you ever wanted to see Kwaku with a pearl necklace wearing elf? Now you can. Check the Discord. I'll post it in the foyer. You're gonna love this. And I went and looked at them, and
Oh
they
my
are
gosh, you did. I gotta pull these up. This is legendary. So this guy did AI. Oh, I gotta make this just a little bit smaller so everybody can see this, because this is pure comedic gold. Oh, the things that these AI generators are coming up with are pretty dang hilarious.
It is getting pretty good. Wow.
So here you guys have Kwaku L as one church to rule them all. Kwaku L as Ward of the Rings. That is royal, ladies and gentlemen. That is so funny. Okay, and do I understand? Oh, is there more? Is there more? Oh my gosh, there's more. Oh, this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing that we could this easily fit on the face of a hobbit. Okay, but there we have one church to rule them all.
Dude, that Frodo, you as Frodo actually looks like, I don't know if it looks like you, but it looks like a real person. You know what I mean?
Look at Carden as Frodo.
Yeah.
I look like
a real person.
Oh my gosh, I look like a criminal. A criminal with like a 75 IQ that's getting out of prison because he's able to go to the psych ward.
You look Polish.
You know? Dog.
No, I resent that they made me Fat Sam.
You know? You're the most good looking one, bro. Look at that.
They made me Fat Sam. I guess that's okay. Samwise is awesome. I'll be Sam. And that's Brad Whitbeck there. And then it looks like Jacob.
Yeah, I was about to say Jacob didn't hobbit well.
He didn't hobbit well.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, his was a little bit less he looked like he got hit by a train and had facial reconstructive surgery. You know what I'm saying? And Brad's got 2 ears. So AI had to figure out which one of the ears he wants. But overall, look, at the end of the day, this is royal. This is hilarious. I think it's funny. And you say there's actually more?
There's more. Well, there's one more in the Discord, which is Jacob as one of the Rohirrim.
Oh my god.
One of the writers of Rohan.
Okay, then hold on. We got to pull up that one too. Okay, so I pull up the Discord, and then this one is, I didn't show the logo of Ward of the Rings. Oh my gosh. That logo is so hilarious. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Ward of the Rings. Will you look at that? That is so funny. That is so funny. The Ward of the Rings. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then the last one you say, Jonah, is right here. And the last one is, who is this? Oh my gosh.
I'm dropping in more now.
I'm man crushing right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
You dig that one?
Oh, I want to kiss him on the face.
What?
I want to kiss him on the mouth.
Wow, that escalated quickly. You know, but okay, there you go. Yeah, he does look regal. He does look regal. In fact, if his wife wants to print that out and stick it, as a bookmark in her scriptures, I'm pretty sure that's what Moroni look like. And she has.
That would help me feel the spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So you say there's more of these, Jonah?
Dude, there's you, Aragorn, and Brittany as Arwen.
Oh, I feel bad. Cody got left out. We should have known. Watch, they're gonna make.
Here, I dropped a couple more in the Discord. These are fantastic.
They've made more.
There's more, dude.
Oh my gosh. You're right. That's hilarious. They made Brittany. What's her name?
Wow.
Arwen.
Why do you scroll down to her chest, Carden? What's wrong with you?
I was scrolling down to the logo.
What's wrong? Keep her face up.
I was scrolling down to the logo right there, bro. The Ward of the Rings.
She makes a great elf. Brittany translates to an elf really well.
Yeah, and and speaking, they should have given her more cleavage. I'll be honest.
Oh, see, I knew it.
I'll just no. That was you. You brought it to my attention, and I'm playing the Hollywood producer. I'm like, look, we got movie posters to put out here. All right, if we're gonna freaking have Brittany as like, what's her name?
Arwen.
Okay, so she's Arwen, right? Okay, that's cool. And then we got another one coming up, bro. We got another one coming up of Will the Thrill as who? I don't know these ones as well. Who's Will the Thrill?
Oh, so cute.
I had this some hobbit, but he's looking a little on the younger side. I thought Will the Thrill was by the way, sprouting up pretty good.
Doesn't this make Will the Thrill kind of look like, who's that female comedian? She was in Gilmore Girls. She's the larger, the more rotund one, but good personality.
Not Melissa. What's her name?
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Doesn't Will the Thrill kind of look like Melissa McCarthy in Gilmore Girls right there? You know what I'm saying? Is that just me?
It
Yeah.
kinda does.
Yeah, it kind of does. It looks like Melissa McCarthy and Gilmore Girls. All right.
And then the last one you got to see is you as King Aragorn and Brittany as Arwen.
Man,
Oh,
dude,
this is
why do I
excellent.
always have to look like I'm just like checked out in life? What
Dude,
does,
you look awesome.
what does
you're wearing a
AI have
crown
against me? What does AI have against me?
What are you talking about? You look amazing, dude.
You think so?
You looked a lot
Yeah,
younger.
I think you look awesome. You look
Okay,
torn.
cool.
You're all regal.
I look
That's
all
great, Brittany.
crunked.
I'm just surprised that the Brittany is not rolling her eyes like, another photograph of
Yeah,
this
she
guy.
does look elven. AI did a good job. She's elven.
Dude, maybe you married an elf. You
Dude,
never know.
that's true. No, a witch maybe, not an elf. You know what I'm saying? She'd pull off witch. Did you know that she's related to one of the people who got burned at the Salem witch trials?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, Brittany's always been into like crystals, full moon stuff, astrology, things like that. And then when she found out that she was related to somebody who was burned at the Salem witch trials, she's like, "Oh, it's genetic memory, man. It's genetic memory." You know what I'm
Holy
saying?
cow.
So, yeah, it
That's
was
pretty
crazy.
deep.
Yeah, she burned.
Well,
at the Salem
don't
witch
let
trials.
Jacob Isbell near her because that dude burnt witches at the stake, right? Am I right? Jacob Isbell, anybody?
No, I thought
Anyways.
no. We said that if you want to know what the Salem witch trials look like, you have to look at Jeff Durbin and the rhetoric of Apologia Studios.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah,
That's-
that fits real well.
That's the rhetoric of witch burning right there.
Okay, so
anyway.
additional super chats. So Rex Good, or the Good King as we call him, has been a member of the channel for 16 months, and so I think they're just giving him free super chats.
Oh, really?
because-
Okay.
He just gets a super chat saying, "Hey, the guy singing Best Day Ever in the intro sounds just like Luke Hansen."
Oh, that's funny.
No, that's true. And then also Grisha Fesha, Privyet Grisha. He has been a member for 4 months, says, "I'd like to see Cody's reaction to the Heartland model and the Adena Hopewell civilizations. Tell him where Joseph found Zelf's mound." Now, just for everybody out there who is a Heartlander, this discovery is still awesome. for
Look
all
at
the
Cody's
Heartlander-
face. He's like,
that
what?
sounds interesting.
He's
I'm
like,
actually
what?
interested in
This is so fun having Cody on because you just get this outsider's opinion, unfiltered and raw, right?
So, Cody, the deal is that the Book of Mormon has references to geography, like a ton of them, internal references to geography. You took the river and it was going this way and to the mountain, and then he went around the mountain and there was the plains of so-and-so, and then there's a city here, and like tons of them. I think there's almost over 100 different references to geography, making this internal geography. But remember, all the names of the places have all been lost. We don't know what they called this river 2,000 years ago.
but
right?
we know what the
just
places
it
look
today.
like, and they kind of look like this. Oh, hashtag just saying. Keep going.
And so there are competing theories as to where this internal geography maps onto the real world today. So there's a theory that it is in Mesoamerica. That was kind of the prevailing theory for several decades. And lots of scholars went down there and looked at the Aztec and Mayan civilizations, and they said, this fits really well with the things the Book of Mormon said, the cultural references that they make, and geography and yada yada. And then kind of after that, kind of in the 90s, it started percolating up, and today it's gaining a lot of traction, is the Heartlander model. And that is the model that puts the Book of Mormon geography actually in the heartland of America, right on top of Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, like that area, the Great Lakes kind of sticks it right on there. And there's variations, it'll say the waterfall of Shabbatadoo, and somebody's like, I think this is the waterfall of Shabbatadoo, and they're like, no way, it's over here in New York. And so there's competing theories as to this and that and different flavors of it, but the Heartlander model puts it up in North America. That's gaining a little more traction these days as more evidence is coming out and more research is being done. And so there's kind of this internal war in our church between the Mesoamerican model guys and the Heartlander guys. And if
we just call them
they get a
winners
couple-
and losers.
Yeah,
But no,
they
I'm
get a
just
couple Mountain Dews in them. They get a couple Mountain Dews in them real late, and it can get pretty wild.
Well, I would say just kind of from my perspective on just the idea of, again, I'm not speaking about the specifics of the Book of Mormon, but just the idea of there being lost civilizations, it does feel like more like a Mesoamerican thing than a North American thing to me. Like, it feels like kind of like what happened with Ecuador, right? I feel like there's more places to hide stuff there where we wouldn't have found
Did
it.
you hear that, Heartlanders? Did you hear that? Take your Ronald Reagan T-shirts and go home.
I guess that's just that's my initial just kind of like, like a logical reaction to it, where I'm like, nah, I guess the jungles are deeper to hide stuff. But I guess I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
if
we got self-respect up in here. The Heartlanders like, we got too much self-respect. We gotta let your busybodies down in Mesoamerica steal the narrative.
It is fascinating to think though that there could be stuff buried under, like not just North America, but like within the borders of the United States of America that we haven't found yet.
It was super,
sure.
It was super interesting watching the Tucker Carlson interview with, I believe it was with Roseanne, right? Mm-hmm. Where he said, Mormons, I used to make fun of them, but I'm not going to do that anymore. And he says, how is it that we have ancient civilizations here in our own backyard, building massive mounds, creating huge civilizations, and we only have 1% of this excavated, and we can't even tell our own history of what happened here on our own soil? Like, how is it that we have unexplained mysteries in our very own backyard? And it's not like the number one issue that they're talking about in public schools. It's not the number one issue that is on the minds of every anthropologist from Columbia all the way to UCLA. How is that not the number one story on Nature magazine with a giant question mark? Like, what are all of these massive civilizations that we are sitting on top of? Mm-hmm. So I'm truly of the heart mind that I don't really care where it happened. I appreciate that the geography of the Book of Mormon, something that's totally unimpeachable, and is one of the evidences that Joseph Smith was not a con man. He didn't just think this up. That's just midwits trying to sound smart. Okay, but the internal coherence of the geography of the Book of Mormon shows that somebody couldn't have woven that many lies and have it been so coherent that you can literally superimpose the geographic model on like 7 different areas, right? It's pretty interesting. I got distracted, sorry, by Fidget the Crazy. Just hit us with a super chat. You wanna read the super chat, Ward Librarian?
Fidget the Crazy, one of our fantastic moderators of the Discord. She said, or he said, Fidget's just Fidget. Smithsonian will confiscate things or be given things, and then they conveniently lose stuff that don't fit the narrative. I freaking hate the Smithsonian. Also, I sent Jonah some images in the Discord. Yeah, so this could be a whole podcast about the John Wesley Powell conspiracy and the Smithsonian.
Well, just give me the Reader's Digest version. What's the conspiracy?
So the Reader's Digest version is that the Smithsonian was created by a guy named John Wesley Powell and Cyrus Thomas. John Wesley Powell, Lake Powell is named after him. He was an explorer, had one arm shot off and in the Civil War, and he was an amazing explorer. And he came west and he wrote all these hagiographic books about his great adventures in the West and all these things. And I went to this unexplored valley. Meanwhile, the Mormons have been there for 50 years. And we're like, what's up? Do you need some food or whatever? And he's like, yeah, I'm actually really hungry. Please help me. He's this intrepid explorer, and we've been out there, in the desert for decades already. But he hated the idea that the old world influenced the new world. He was outraged by that. He said, no, that's disgusting. And this is this Eurocentric view of the world. And so the Smithsonian was founded by he and a guy named Cyrus Thomas. And they, remember, the Smithsonian had to be created out of something. There were museums before the Smithsonian, hundreds of them actually. Everywhere people went in Illinois and in Michigan, they were digging up artifacts all the time because they were plowing their fields. And actually, Illinois was called Little Egypt. I don't know if you know this. That was the southern Illinois was called Little Egypt. That's
really?
Right, Memphis, Tennessee. Because the huge pyramids that people discovered when they moved to Illinois. And they were discovering all these artifacts that looked Egyptian. And so they called it Little Egypt. And they had their own local museums. Well, the Smithsonian comes up and says, hey, if you join our network, the Smithsonian network of museums, will accredit you and give you cool stuff to help you with your displays. We'll come out and consult on your museum and stuff, and we'll advertise for your museum. You'll be part of this great network. And they're like, yeah, whatever. It's like in the post office, right? They're like, sure. Mm-hmm. And so they send their artifacts to the Smithsonian, and they all vanished, right? They all just kind of like go into boxes and get hidden away. And the Smithsonian began with the premise that there was no old world influence in the new world. So if there was any evidence that they found that there was old world influence in the new world, they said, well, this is a hoax. Mm-hmm. Say, well, how do you know it's a hoax? Say, well, because there was no old world influence in the new world. Okay, but how do you know that? Well, we've never found any evidence for it. Okay, but you just have evidence for it. No, that's a hoax. You see, and it goes round and round and round and round. And so there were some museums that rebelled against this. They're called the Black Museums, and you can find them in Michigan. You can find a lot of them in Mexico because they weren't part of the Smithsonian, and they still have these old artifacts that farmers like dug up that they have not sent to the Smithsonian, and they hate the Smithsonian, and they'll never send it to the Smithsonian because they think that they're all trying to destroy the artifacts and whatever. There's actually one story about them taking a ship filled with these artifacts out into the ocean and just burning it and sinking it down to destroy the stuff. I don't know, but I mean, it's a pretty cool conspiracy.
Oh yeah, well there is
the coolest part about the conspiracy. The coolest part about the conspiracy, sorry, Cody, is that John Wesley Powell, the guy who did this, if you look at his genealogy, his father was a circuit preacher in upstate New York, Palmyra, New York, is where John Wesley Powell's father was from. He was a Methodist preacher, and so he bitterly hated the Church of Jesus Christ.
So you're saying the Smithsonian was formed out of a bunch of anti-Mormon sentiment in order to bury the true history of the indigenous peoples and the civilizations that existed in the Americas?
Hey, man! I'm just the associate professor of all things apocryphal. You can't trust anything I say.
Dude, wow.
What is, because now that you're kind of talking about it and thinking about it, there is, at least from what I understand, like a really incomplete vision of like history in the Americas before the early settlers, right? Like it feels like history of the Americas is like, what was it? Like Leif Erikson came and then he left, and then like Columbus came and like he left, and then eventually like, you know, like the Pilgrims and like more settlers came. But it's like, yeah, but what was happening on the entire continent where there was people for like we know what happened with like BC over in like, you know, the old world. Like we don't know what was happening in like 1200 in parts of the North America. You know, it's like weird to think about, and it's kind of like this remarkably incomplete timeline, it feels like there isn't even like I'm sure there's some understandings, but it's like, what were the biggest tribes and what was like their necessary kind of like reign of influence? Did they come and go? Were there like, you know, famous individuals that were like, it feels like the kind of hand wave how they just couldn't write stuff down. It's like, but I think we have like oral stories that were passed down from other histories. I don't know. I hadn't thought of it before, but it is interesting how incomplete and kind of full of holes the history of North America is, pretty much outside of outsiders visiting, really.
Yeah, it shows that we just need to have a little bit of humility when talking about archaeology, talking about history, when you're an academic. Just have a little bit of humility, because this huge city in Ecuador was hiding under everybody's noses. Hundreds of thousands of people, and no one had a clue. And last week, no one had a clue, and today we all know about it. Who knows what we could discover in the future? So before we ink all the textbooks and print them and send them out, maybe we should eat just a little slice of humble pie and admit that we don't know everything.
Here's a pretty fascinating thing that's come up. So when Brittany and Carter and I finished the active shooter training the other day, we talked about this, and I know that you know a lot about this.
My house has stainless steel shutters now, bro.
Yeah, let me tell you, and not only
it's
that,
pretty cool.
I don't want to get too far off on a tangent.
No, just keep going.
Whoever meets Brittany on stage 3 is a goner. That's all I can say. She's ready. So anyway, that's off the topic. But after we have lunch, after the active shooter training, she brings us up, and we go into the past stuff that Cody just talked about. And somewhere after the last ice age, somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000 years ago, people from Siberia, Mongolia, went across the Bering Strait, commonly called Beringia, in one of my courses I teach, and then they came into Alaska and the United States. Are you familiar with very much about that, Jonah, since you served your mission in Siberia?
Yeah, the migration of the Siberians across the Bering Strait. Probably not like you, Ed, but yeah. Okay,
well, anyway, and then they came down, and they were here, at least 10,000 years before Lehi and his family, and maybe 20,000. And they were building huge stuff. There's another huge city in Ecuador just north of this one. There's something down in Chile. And I think none of us are saying that this particular Ecuador complex, even though it's astonishing to think that the dates line up so perfectly, and we have a couple of shots to talk a little bit more about the diggings that they found, but that is phenomenal. The one in 2009 discovery in Mesoamerica was basically been dated to Proto-Maya, slightly after the fall of the Book of Mormon. The one in Bolivia, I don't remember the exact date, but this Ecuador one was exactly, and I mean exactly Ecuador. And it doesn't matter if you believe we landed, the Nephi, Lehi's family landed in Florida, which the Phoenicia expedition did a great job explaining how that worked. And that's the Rod Meldrum group. Thank goodness. I think they're good people. It doesn't matter if you think they landed in Ecuador or Chile or Peru. Doesn't matter. This is the kind of thing that says, okay, this fits into history. Gospel knowledge fits into history. It's not like you have science over here and gospel over here. You have, the gospel fits into history so well that it makes sense. And you don't need to do all these, as all these antichrists run around saying, mental gymnastics, I just can't comprehend because I'm on a third grade level, I'm going to have to leave the church, and they whine and they cry, and they call me on the phone, and I have to take over a box of weakness tissue for them and pat them on the back and say, there, and all that kind of stuff. That's what's so huge about this, is so many of these things fit into the potential. And I think Brad is more of a Western Hemisphere model guy. I know I kind of am, with a major population center in Mesoamerica and maybe a major population center in the Heartland area and a major population center in Peru and Ecuador. The Rockchi Temple stuff in Peru is astounding. To this very day, they do a prayer circle ceremony right outside of the Rockchi Temple. And we should talk about that sometime in the future. It's amazing. But all of these things are lining up, not to say, there's too many things that can't make any sense. It's all lining up to say, look at all of these faithful possibilities. Choose any one, choose any two, choose any five. They all fit. They all work. That's the beauty of this kind of discovery.
Yeah.
Rock on.
Oh, well, we can talk about that later, but now we have some super.
I was
duper
gonna say,
chats.
please catch us up on the super chats, man.
Chilicon Stud says, look up the Schrechter letter about the Khazarians.
I don't, let me see the super chat. Who is this?
I think that's a letter. That talks about the lost tribes possibly fleeing north.
We'll have to
Russia.
look that up. Also, looks like Rex Good sent just a regular message saying we missed a member that joined the Ward Radio Wigwam. Did we miss somebody? Is that Cade Osmondson?
Oh my goodness, brother Cade Osmond has joined the Ward Radio Wigwam, and we are thrilled to have you. All those who would like to welcome brother Cade into the Ward Radio Wigwam, please do so by putting a W in the chat.
Okay, Cade Osmondson.
And Danny Gray also super chatted. It'll be fun with the Mesoamerican model and the. Too many people love us.
Yeah.
People.
Too many W's just showed up in the chat real fast.
Yeah. It'll be fun when the Mesoamerican model and the Heartlander model end up both being right and members stop fighting over it. That's pretty funny.
Exactly.
No. The Mesoamerican liberals will defeat. We will defeat the Republican Heartlanders whose geographic models suddenly and conveniently end at the Rio Grande outside of the jurisdiction of the Republic of Texas. They will be defeated.
Speaking of freedom, total freedom, super chats. Fun fact. My friend in L.A., I don't know what it's Louisiana. Must be Louisiana. What does that stand for? I don't know what that is.
Know.
My friend in L.A. needs pest control, and I recommended your company, Carden. He goes, have you used them? And I told him, nope, but I know the owner.
Oh, okay. Cool. Rock on.
And then Be Fit to Be Fit, super chats. I missed sacrament yet again. I hope the bishop did not notice. I try to slide in all sly-like, but the bishop, Carden, looks around with hawk eyes.
Yeah, dude. Lab digging. I got hawk eyes. Okay, keep going.
Hey, Be Fit. If you're not here for these live streams, you're going to be considered inactive, and we're going to send you a strudel so bad. We are going to send you Jello squares so bad if you leave our church.
Yeah, dude. It's the only church where we bake you cookies if you leave.
That's right. Rex Good. King Rex says we need more Ed.
Oh, Rex.
And then
thank
Diamond
you.
Dave says, loving the stream. Hope you guys are well. We love Diamond Dave. Look at all these W's. Look at all these. What a welcoming ward we have here. What a welcoming ward.
Yeah, rock
And
on.
that catches us up.
Okay, so we're all caught up. Awesome. So just really fast, I want to do a fun little aside here before we come back to the other similarities that we have of the archaeological evidences of the a Book of Mormon as potentially manifest with this new archaeological discovery in Ecuador. We're going to take a rest for that for a second. But before we do, you know what? Carolyn Wright-Skane's music. Carolyn Wright-Skane's music just gave us a super chat, bro. You got to read it, Jonah. You got to read it.
She did, Sister Carolyn. What is her calling? Is she ward music director? I think she's ward music.
She's the
leader.
ward
Is that right?
chorister. She's the
Ward chorister. Pardon me.
Yes.
Sister Carolyn, the ward chorister, has super chatted. Boomers in the house want more Ed. Ed, what are you talking about? It's not. It's like 26. What are you talking about?
I love Sister Wright Gaines' music.
Okay, you love Sister Wright Gaines' apostrophe music. You love her music, or do you love Carolyn Wright Gaines' music as her avatar? Or do you just appreciate that she hooks us up with a super chat and is very generous in her assistance of the channel? Or do you just like the very tasteful red hue that seems to predominate her super chat? Which one is it?
Neither. I like being able to combine all the last names into one, like we do in South America. Sister Consuela Maria Sanchez Vasquez Gomez
De la Cruz de la Vega.
That's what I like.
Hugo.
Yeah,
that's
what I
I'm
like.
saying. Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. All right, sick. So anyway, actually, you know what? We're going to be rolling in our seats when Cody tells us what he thinks about the first 7 pages of the Book of Mormon. So I'm actually going to get this archaeological stuff out of the way right now. Here's the other part of the abstract. When intact, the Amazonian forest is dense and difficult to penetrate, both on foot and with scanning technologies. Over the past several years, however, improved light detection and ranging scans have begun to penetrate the forest canopy, revealing previously unknown evidence of Amazonian cultures. Rostan, or Stain, et al. Describe evidence of such an agrarian Amazonian culture that began more than 2,000 years ago. In the previous part of the abstract, for those of you that are just tuning in right now, they actually specifically dated the beginning of that civilization to somewhere around, it was about 600 years BC, which happens to be exactly when Lehi is slated to have landed in the New World. So anyway, they describe more than 6,000 earthen platforms distributed in a geometric pattern, connected by roads and intertwined with agricultural landscapes and river drainages in the Upano Valley. Previous efforts have described mounds and large monuments in Amazonia, but the complexity and extent of this development far surpasses these previous sites. So you've been doing a lot of investigation into this, Ed and Jonah, principally Ed, because apparently Carolyn Wright Gaines' music wants to hear more of Ed. But this is the Upano Valley right here, where they found, this is the Upano River in Ecuador, presumably the namesake of the Upano Valley, right? And so what is so significant about this discovery that it's been making waves? Because I mean, every 2 weeks I subscribe to Archaeology magazine, right? And every 2 weeks we're finding something new that kind of changes the narrative on its head and so on and so forth. But this new discovery has really, really, really made a lot of waves. What is it about this discovery that is so big?
That there's about 6,000 different of these mounds, and they're a little bit different than the mounds that are Hopewell era mounds. A little bit different, but they're all about 2,000 square feet. They're geometrically organized into squares. 2,000 square feet is probably about twice the size of the average Los Angeles home built from the 40s, but not anymore. You know, both Carter and I live in enormous houses, but that's a whole different thing. You know, maybe the average LA house is 1,000 square feet.
Funded by the church.
Of course.
That's right. They're wealthy. What's the word? Commission? No, they're wealthy. Not philanthropy. What's the word for when a wealthy noble would
like a benefactor.
Yeah. The benefaction of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, specifically Russell M. Nelson himself and the presiding bishopric. But anyway, as you were saying, keep going.
So this particular picture, this is kind of what it all looks like when you're not paying that much attention. Just kind of looks like a little.
It looks like a hill.
It looks like nothing. Okay, now, and keep
Yeah.
going. Now these are slowly backing up a little bit. You can kind of start to see these rectangular mounds with centerpieces. And if you go one more picture, it's even better. Okay, well, let's do this one first. I apologize for not being in order. That previous green one that's now it's not that one either. That previous green one, go back to the hand-drawn. This is the diggings that they did.
Okay, right there.
Okay, now this is kind of interesting because there's an actual black layer of stuff that has not quite been officially studied to figure out what it is. They are going to figure out what it is, but so far it's almost guaranteed to be volcanic ashes. And we all know there was an enormous volcanic event right about, and this does not have anything to do with religious people. Everybody in South America and Mexico will talk about an enormous volcanic event that happened somewhere between 25 Common Era and 45 Common Era, roughly about the time that the Savior was, crucified, roughly.
Okay.
So this happened, and then below this volcanic ash is rocks, as if they were close enough to the stream to want to be elevated. And then below that is this Upano culture, where they were finding stuff and finding some artifacts. And that's really how they get to do the dating on this stuff, is they find the pottery, they find some knives, they find, rope, they find linens and stuff. And that's really what the most dynamite dating stuff that they have. And that's how we know this is exactly 600 before the Christian era all the way up to 400 Christian era.
Now, in the one thing that makes this site amazing is that we found some other sites in the Amazon, some cities that have dated back. You're talking about like the Llanos de Mojos in Bolivia and the Casarabe people, and their cities maybe go back to like 1000 AD. Or like 600 AD, and they maybe we think they may have housed 5,000 people, maybe 10,000 people. This jumps 1,000 years earlier. This is 1,000 years older than any other known complex Amazonian society, period. This is like, we've been taking these baby steps back 10 years. All of a sudden, boom, 1,000-year jump to 500 BC. This huge civilization that existed for 1,000 years, we think, contiguously living there until it kind of vanished and was taken over by a jungle or geological event or whatever. So this moves everything back. Like Graham Hancock always says, things just keep getting older.
Yeah.
Right? We think we know. We are a species with amnesia. There was a whole world. Half of our entire human history was taking place on these continents here in the West, and we have no clue. Like Cody said, we have no idea what was going on here. The only glimpse that we get are these tiny little LIDAR studies that we're just beginning to do, and the Book of Mormon, and that's it. Wow. That's all we have.
So, Cardin, I don't think you were able to get that first video to work, but that's actually Sal Khan, non-member, brilliant guy about just about everything. He was MIT or Harvard, one or the other.
Oh, is he talking about this Ubano thing? Or Upano thing?
No, he's not, but he's just talking about how he absolutely positively Western Hemisphere had, before the Spaniards arrived, a population of absolute minimum 50 million people up to possibly 100 million people before the Spaniards.
And one
arrived.
misconception.
Oh, whoops! Sorry, keep going.
Yeah,
I can put it up.
Well, you don't have to. That's just something in case you wanted to.
Yeah.
But it's really beautiful. Remember, these are the people that came across Beringia in the last ice age. Piltdown Man. It was long before.
It's only 1 minute. Should I play it so that before we get off this topic and talk about Cody's fun exploits in the first chapter of the Book of Mormon?
The second video is even better. But if you want to play this, that's fine.
Well, what's the second video?
The second video is what is a really good example of the peoples in Siberia, Mongolia that were in northeast Eurasia that came across the Bering Straits, and why it would be so easy for Layman and Lemuel and the other people to want to be part of the other peoples who had inhabited the Americas. When you see the second video, you're going to go, dude, I may just bail out of Nephi and hang
Why?
out-
Because there's some hot like Mongolian pop stars doing a music video, or what?
I don't know. I'm just saying, if you can get it to
It looked like a music video that you posted in the Discord. Are you like getting us to fall in love with the Mongolian? Like, who's the chick that did the music video "Dirty"? Whose parents were actually from Payson? Christina Aguilera.
No,
You know
no,
what I'm saying?
these are real Siberian chicks.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Real, authentic.
Well, here, we can post that in the regular Discord for after this. Unfortunately, we got to change. We got to change subjects now.
Well, let's
talk-
finish up the super chats in this vein.
Yeah, let's finish up the
Brandon,
super chats.
Brandon Cole chats, Cherokee oral history tells of a priest clan that kidnapped Cherokee women to make them their wives. The Cherokee ended up massacring this priest class, rendering them extinct.
Well, that
sounds
hardcore.
eerily like a story right from the Book of Mormon. Also, Brandon Cole has been a member of the Celestial Kingdom for 19 months. He says, I think of that extinct wicked priest class whenever I read about the priests of Noah in the Book of Mormon. Bingo, Brandon. Good
Yep.
Good placement. He says the oral history of that priest clan called the Anikutani was recorded by James Mooney in 1897 in Myths of the Cherokee. Cody, we got so many cool things in our church, like so many crazy cool, like we were the OG conspiracy theorists here. Graham Hancock just like attended one of our primary children's Sunday school lessons one time, and he's like, I could make a career out of this. Like we've been talking about this stuff for 200 years.
Oh yeah, no, you guys go all the way too. You're like, nah, there's ancient civilizations no one's found yet. They were there. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
damn.
Boom.
We go hard in the paint. We go hard in the paint. So anyway, Cody, while we're talking about going hard in the paint, bro, can you give us just your just tell us what you thought about your first reading of Nephi, book 1, chapter 1, and I think you got into chapter 2 or 3, just so the audience knows here.
Well, I guess just start with, I'll kind of just run over
I know
briefly. Well, I feel weird.
You're gonna hedge a million bets saying that I don't want to offend people and I'm not religious yet.
Exactly.
I'm giving the background of why you're doing this and why it's gonna be so funny.
No, I know. So,
I don't want to oversell it, but basically, me and Cody have been friends for a very, very long time, and we've worked on a lot of creative projects together. One of the things Cody excels at is games, everything from analysis and playing and collaborating on video games to being really, really good at collectible card games specifically. And for the Supernatural University, we were commissioned to develop a collectible card game for one Zach Thompson and his Supernatural University. That's super cool. It's based on like cryptids and UFOlogy and everything. Plays well, looks beautiful. The art is great. The play mechanics are great. It's super fun. It's a lot like, would you say, Cody, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering for the layman?
Strictly speaking, it's a mixture of Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone button paper.
Yes,
if that
exactly.
means anything to whoever heard of it.
If that means anything to anybody. Okay. So anyway, we're developing this super cool collectible card game, and we said, hey, I've been wanting to do this for years now based off the Book of Mormon. So we started actually a while back, but now it's getting very, very, very close to having the prototype done that we're hopefully going to be releasing on this show. So if any of you guys have young brothers and sisters, or else if any of you guys are into board games, collectible card games, or if any of you guys just want to try something out new with your family, we're actually going to have, as some of our merch, a legitimate collectible card game here pretty soon, right? Now, I'm not going to give you the name of it yet. Okay, I'm not going to give you the name of it yet, but I will tell you that as part of his research to understand what the heck Cardin is talking about, when, I say, oh, we got to get a spell called the Pillar of Fire, or else, we have to get some kind of negative charm like the mockery of the Jews in Jerusalem or something like that, right? He's like, okay, what are you talking about? So he started reading the Book of Mormon just to understand the narrative of Lehi's journey out of Jerusalem, because the first expansion and the first iteration of this collectible card game is actually based on First Nephi, strictly the book of First Nephi, and it will chronologically go through the Book of Mormon. So as you read the Book of Mormon, you can actually be playing more of the card game. It's super fun. So he started telling me what he thought about the Book of Mormon and like reciting the stories. And it was so funny. I said, stop. I'm not listening. Save it for the show. And I thought it was funny. Hopefully the audience does too. So you don't have to try and be funny, but just explain, my man, regurgitate First Nephi and what you found. First off, tell us what you thought, what you thought was cool, the whole 9 yards.
First of all, I want to kind of just pull up exactly where I read. It was about what? I read to page 11. It says here, chapter 6 in First Nephi. That was as far as I got, right? So I don't.
Oh, 5 chapters.
I don't know anything that happens after. I'm making my inferences based off the words in those first dozen pages or so, right?
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so what I read, more or less to recap and see if I'm more or less understanding it. Oh God, the names I'm so bad with. I believe it's Lehi is the father. Starts getting kind of visions or speaking with God about bad stuff going to happen in Jerusalem. And they say you basically have to just abandon everything but your family and like provision supplies or whatever and go out to the wilderness. He does so. They go out for a while. This is where it's a little bit narratively weird, but it's like there's the part where he introduces one of the oldest sons for like the second time in the book and then names a river after him in the same sentence. And I'm like, what? And then the other son gets a valley. And then you find out right after that the other sons are like turning on him. And I'm like, all right, it's kind of a lot of stuff happening. But anyway, they get there. They're like camped out in the wilderness. And then there was plates that the father had written a kind of history into or something.
Yeah.
I guess you guys are laughing with that. To me, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to like remember like an episode of a TV show. Right? Like, and then they do this. And then so he's like, I think if I remember correctly, he doesn't trust the older son, so he sends the younger son with them to go recover the plates from the city in Jerusalem. And when they get there, they get to some kind of, I don't know, wealthy person, government official. I don't think they really, Laban's the name of the character, but they don't really fully, as far as I remember, establish what he is. But he has servants and wealth that is established, so he's a wealthy guy. And so one of the older brothers goes in, and he basically just gets turned out of there. He's like, not going to give him to you, no. So then the younger brother's like, well, we got all this gold and stuff hidden here. Let's go get it and like buy him, basically. So they bring him, and then the guy's like, get out of here, and I'm going to rob you. And he sends basically, I think he said his servants, like armed servants. I don't know, whatever that would be. And they go out there and then rob them. So then, dejected, the brothers go off, as failures into the woods. And then they're visited by an angel, right?
As failures into the woods. That's funny. Well, that's the name of a card. Failures. Leaving like failures into the woods. I will now play. Leaving like failures into the woods. You get -3 attack points, and you do not collect the artifacts.
Okay, I mean, like more or less, that is roughly what's happening, right? And
this is good. Really good so far.
This is actually really. You're doing better.
This beats the crap out of Pastor Jeff. This is the best review of the Book of Mormon. I would listen to this all day. I would rather listen to Cody read the Book of Mormon than any of my online audio book things. Like, this is fantastic scripture study. Cody, you should think about just having a YouTube channel where you just read and review the Book of Mormon. I would listen to that thing to death.
Wait until he starts talking about the morality of like Laban getting his noggin.
Oh, yeah. That's where, so they're in the woods, right? And then I believe they're either directly visited by an angel or just like spoken to kind of like by God through visions or something. Anyway, and they say like, just go back to Jerusalem and like, I will take care of Laban. Just go. I'll take care of him. And I forgot exactly what happens here. Only the younger brother goes in, right? I don't remember if the older brothers are like nervous or scared or just kind of like, I think they just don't. See, now I'm trying to remember correctly. I think the angel appeared in front of all of them, but the older brother still didn't go in for some reason.
Yeah.
They're panty waists.
Yeah. So anyway, the younger brother gets in there, and this is where it's pretty intense. And like, it's pretty cool because he gets under the guy's compound and he just sees like basically a body in the road, and he's like, what's this? And he gets up and he's like, oh, that's the guy. That's Laban, just like drunk, passed out in the middle of the road. And then, again, the specifics. I don't remember I think he says he's just kind of like acting almost as if like, not like possessed, but just kind of moving. And he goes to grab the guy's sword. And then he realizes he's about to like execute a defenseless drunk man on the ground. And he's kind of like, what? I don't know. We're going to kill this guy for real? And then if I remember right, God like directly speaks to him and it's like, I brought him here to you. Like, yes, that's what you're going to do. And then he does it. And then he goes a little bit cloak and dagger and basically disguises himself as him. This is also where in the book I didn't really fully understand if he wears his clothes, obviously, in painstaking detail. Every last garment he says he takes off and puts on. But then I don't know if they really go into too much if, like, because he disguises himself as the guy Laban. But he also mentions in the story multiple times that he's like a huge ass dude, and like they'd probably notice that wasn't Laban, I imagine. Like they don't really describe him as some mountain of a man the way they do. The main character, I forget his name.
Nephi.
So anyway, though, it's why weird. I don't know if they get into if he was like kind of like enchanted almost, kind of like by like angels or whatever, kind of like protect him to make him look like Laban. Anyway, he goes in there, fundamentally kidnaps one of his servants and makes him bring the plates back out to his brothers in the woods. And I believe that's roughly where I leave off, is where they get to the woods, they find out the name of the servant, they convince the servant that, okay, I did just show up and kill your master and basically forced you out here by sword point as my slave. But trust me, it was all for a reason. There was a greater plan here. I wasn't just a thief that came in. Even though I literally am a thief that came in and killed your master and stole his clothes and belongings, it's not like that. And then, but like, I think God helps him out and kind of like backs him up here. And they convince the servant that indeed that they are not bad people. And then there's a little bit too where they talk about where when they finally return, how the mother thought they weren't going to return and how she was basically like, you crazy bastard, you killed our sons, you marched us out here to die, what are you doing? And then... But I believe is in the story, it's meant to be to show how when everyone's tested and tried, the faith in them, and they're able to kind of come together and realize, no, there is a larger purpose here. And that's about where the story tailed off for me.
So
that is the best.
Beautiful.
That is.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I am.
Oh my gosh! If you loved Cody's reading of the first stories of the Book of Mormon, please like the stream, share the stream. We got to start this channel here, Cody. I mean, this is a missed opportunity.
Dude, and I'm going to record Cody. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm going to record Cody surreptitiously when he doesn't know I'm recording. Because when he came in with the Book of Mormon the very first time, he was like, whoa, dude, Nephi goes hard in the paint, man. He went in, lopped this dude's head off, then went 007 on this Zoram guy. I'm just like...
Well, but I mean, just also speaking from just like the sense, again, I'm coming from like an outsider from the text. I don't know anything about it. I had no idea what to expect, right?
Yeah.
And it is just kind of it's very like kind of like, what's the word for it? It gets to the very, let me clean this up.
The beauty of
don't clean it up. Don't clean it up.
I guess not the beauty, but the fact that, it starts off right there, right? It starts off right there with God basically commanding someone to kill who didn't really want to. And it's like, that's like a dramatic point to kind of start the, even though they already had, like the father basically abandon all of his wealth and go as like a hermit in the woods. Like that's pretty high stakes. But they just come like directly. Because even though, like I was saying before, the kind of older way they'd write biblical text, there's a lot of, it's not the way we kind of phrase sentences anymore. It's kind of weird. But that scene even still kind of comes through as pretty like intense when he's standing there with the sword, kind of like looking at this guy. Like, because I remember I've read accounts of like soldiers. Like I remember a funny story in World War I where there were some soldiers and they were like whispering and their commanding officer like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, there's some guys over there. He's like, well, shoot them. And he's like, but they're just like standing there. It's like, well, shoot them. What are you talking about? Like this idea that man just won't kill even if they don't feel threatened by someone, right? So the idea of kind of getting right to that's really interesting, and also just kind of like, like I don't want any problems with you people, Dude,
it has been proposed. It has been proposed that we call Cody the Oracle to serve as a primary worker in the Ward Radio Wigwam. All those who
he's teaching the 8-year-olds in Sunday school the Book of Mormon now, dude. It's like, Cody, the chat is blowing up, loving you. There's a bunch of C's in the chat for Cody.
Oh, well, you're too
and it
kind.
says, I think Cody got himself a Ward Radio primary teacher calling. Primary is the Sunday school for children, by the way. So... And then the why God says visionary man equals crazy bastard. I will keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? And listening to Sariah fight with Lehi, there was probably some talk like that was super funny. So anyway, so just overall now, without just like the pop quiz on the actual bullet points of the plot. What was your just your overall thought? I know before you said it might have been a little bit hard to read. Is there any part of it you enjoyed? Any part of it that was just drudgery? What'd you think, bro?
Oh, no, like I said, it was interesting. Again, I mean, it's kind of, I'm sure, for anyone who just comes from not reading any kind of like older written like biblical text when you come in. They are written in a very particular style. It's like reading Shakespeare. It takes a while to kind of figure out why the sentences are phrased that way. But anyway, that aside, like I said, it was actually, like I said, the scene where he kills Laban's actually pretty intense, and you kind of can like put yourself there. But then also, again, I did think it's an interesting way to start in a very kind of like dramatic point, right? It's like life or death right away. We're starting here. It isn't like you build up to like, oh, should you kill? Is killing wrong? And it's like right there. It's like God will literally put the sword in your hand and say, kill him if it comes to it, right? Yeah. Like it's a pretty dramatic and intense thing that it gets to quickly. And then, again, I'll have to read more. Obviously, it's a much bigger book than what I've read, right? I've gotten through a few pages. But it's just the kind of thing like, yeah, especially going through this, we'll definitely keep reading through it for the game and stuff. But it was a lot more, again, like dramatic, and it moved faster than I thought it would. I figured I was
Dude, wait till you get to like Alma the Younger. Wait till you get like
war chapters.
Yeah, oh dude. My gosh. Like this is the tip of the iceberg, Cody.
Okay,
this is a whole
Actually,
channel.
True or not true, Cody would gain followers faster than Ward Radio itself and have a bigger following in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He'd get married off some hottie that fell in love with him just reading the Book of Mormon chapter for chapter, and she'd be like, oh, dude, that was boring AF, man. Like, what the heck was this chapter? That totally sucked. You should just skip it. Rip it out of your Book of Mormons. This chapter was ill! You know,
dude, I want you to do this channel. I want you to do this channel, Cody, so that I can just play this for my kids for our scripture study. I've told that story a dozen times, and they're like, yeah. And the way you tell it, it's like, wow, that is really cool and fascinating. So I would just use that.
Well, it was hilarious too, because on the drive to the studio, Cody was like, dude, you guys are killers, man. Like, no wonder you Mormons, you guys are hardcore, dude. I mean, between the Mountain West, you know, moving out, because he's been having to read, like, we're actually going to do a video on Joshua Graham, the character from Fallout New Vegas, yes. Right? Who's a Mormon character that survived the apocalypse. And as we've been also doing as Cody's been doing research for some of the other videos we've been doing with like Joshua Graham, this Book of Mormon, collectible card game and everything, he's come across a lot of like the hardcore stories of like Joseph Smith fighting back with the pepper box, you know, Orrin Porter Rockwell going up against the mob like 8-1 and surviving. He's like, dude, you guys are killers, man. It's like in your ethos, dude. No wonder you guys are hardcore.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, it's like a legit real thing. I don't mean it as like again, not like you know like murderers, right? But in a very sense that it's like, and I think it's kind of like, yeah, it's like the first chapter of the book, right? That like sometimes it'll come to it and you'll have to do it. And when God tells you it's the time, it's the time. And I think it's an interesting kind of question to just answer right off the bat. Now I'm assuming later in the book it's readdressed other times, the ideas of killing and if it's right or wrong, but still it's like right away they're like, there'll be times where you just got to do it, man. And it's kind of an interesting kind of, again, like baseline, like chapter 1, here we go, way to go in. And I think it explains a lot, because speaking to what he was saying as well, just as a fan of history as I am, like the kind of Mormons and their movements west across like that's just like American history, like really dramatic, important, you know, great men in history.
That they're trying to erase. They don't like the fact that the Bear Flag Republic was founded by the bishop up in Vallejo, and that California owes its freaking flag and its independence and its studliness to a Mormon bishop in Northern California. No, they'd rather just say, oh, the missions, and oh, Hollywood,
well, I live in
and
Las
oh,
Vegas,
the Smithsonian
right?
says there was nobody here. You know,
but I live in a city founded by Mormons. Like Las Vegas was founded by Mormons.
Mormons and gamblers.
Yeah,
it's really cool. You know, this is really great because truth is the world spins much easier when dead people are gone. Number one.
You know.
So that's
they
good.
Float up to heaven. Okay,
no, it's just the world spins easier.
I think you might say when bad people are gone.
When bad people are killed.
Yeah. Okay.
The world.
We're not calling for revolution here. We're not prophets. All right.
You're such a softy. You're such a panty
on YouTube. On YouTube with the algorithms, yes, I am. So keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
And then similar to this, you know, I was Richard Stafford's civilian team lead in Fallujah. He went deep for, I think, 3 or 4 months. Did not hear from him at all. And it took us a year to figure out how much of his mission was accomplished. every single person Richard went after, there was literally no sign of them. No photos of these people, no family members that could remember him, no teeth. Richard Stafford literally did a Nephi.
He was like the guy in he was like the guy in Tenet, right? It was just the dude in Tenet.
It was amazing.
So okay, cool. We only got 8 minutes left here, guys. We only got we only got 5 minutes left here before we got to hard out here. If you guys have any last burning questions, please make sure that you send us a super chat, all right? Also, if you haven't had a chance yet, you got to like the stream. I'm looking at the stream, man, and it's only got 100 likes, but there's several hundred of us here right now, so it should have several hundred likes. So please, if you guys can, make sure that you guys like that stream. Also, we're not done yet, so you guys can still share this with your friends, share it with your parents, share it with your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, your inactive buddy who, would benefit from us spewing heinous justifications for extrajudicial killings in ancient Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I was going to ask you, not Cody, but Jonah, can you catch us up on the super chats, my man? Because there's a couple of super chats we've missed.
Let's see. Super chats. Let me open the super chat box. Let's see. I'm only seeing one recent. I might have missed some, but Annie Croft says, wouldn't Laban's clothes be all bloody? I've always thought about that. Yes, I've thought about that same thing. Would his clothes just be like covered in blood? And blood was unclean according to Mosaic law. I've always wondered that.
That's why I thought it was almost like he had some kind of like enchantment or something put on him to make him appear as Laban. Because again, his clothes would be all bloody. He'd be too big.
No, but his coat was probably, look, he's drunk. He's got a sword of fine steel and workmanship. Nephi was a stud, so he probably went thunk, head's gone, rolls it over, takes off the cloak, the robe, the shoes, the feet. He was probably just a smooth operator, bro. That's what I think.
Well, one of the things that was in the depiction, in one of the depictions, they had his ceremonial garb was like hanging, and so he finds Laban and kills him. And he doesn't take the clothes from off his body. He puts on his like ceremonial garb that's hanging on the wall.
That's weak, man. That's weak. The guy was the guy was a smooth operator that just thunk, swipe, jacket on, pants on, going to fake voice it to Zoram. You know what I'm saying? That's
like in the movies where like the guard is standing there and all of a sudden like a frying pan comes up. They fall, and you see their feet being dragged, and then the bushes shake, and the guy comes out wearing his clothes.
Yeah,
like this is the OG, like Joseph Smith. This is the first scene where that happens.
Okay, and there was also another super chat that we had. We already did Brandon Cole. There was one more super chat down here where he says you can answer the question later if you want. What does everybody on the channel think of Pastor Jeff? I believe he means Jeff from Hello Saints, right?
Yes.
Super fast. I think he's great. Supposedly he was in some hot water where people were like, ask you, what are your intentions? To me, his intentions are completely obvious. He's a freaking evangelical pastor. And he's an evangelical pastor that used to be anti-Mormon until he realized, making anti-Mormon videos and claims doesn't really work. So I need to steel man these people if I'm ever going to open up their hearts or their minds. So he started a really cool channel called Hello Saints where he utterly refused to be negative. And he's read the Book of Mormon. He's gone to our chapels. He spoke with me, pretty much most prominent podcasters. Most of the other podcasters kind of treat him with kid gloves. And I think Mormons are a little bit brain damaged. So they think that they're so used to anti-Mormons, especially anti-Mormon ex-Mormons and anti-Mormon evangelicals, that the second someone's nice to them, they think that they must be a convert because only converts or people trying to convert are nice to us in the public sphere anymore, especially post Prop 8, right? However, I found him to always be super honest, super overt, and I actually really like his channel. And when all of that went down like 6 months ago or whatever, I literally I just sent him a voice message and I said, look, bro, I think you're awesome. I think any attacks on you are super stupid. At the end of the day, we convert people all the time from evangelical Christianity to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka Mormons, and guess what? Every once in a while, somebody converts from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to evangelicalism, right? And personally, I would much rather that if somebody were to lose their faith for some, unforeseen circumstance or some tragedy in their life, that they find a soft landing at Pastor Jeff's church where there's still reverence for God, placed importance on prayer, good traditional family values. You don't have to descend into angry, drunken, tattooed nihilism just to prove your clout online in Salt Lake City. I would very much prefer that. And I have a feeling that as a pastor, you know what I'm saying? If he were to lose a congregant, he would much rather lose them to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where there's, still a reverence for all of our Christian brothers and a shared love of Jesus Christ and all that other stuff. So I count him as a friend. I think he's great. I think he's awesome. And personally, I think anybody that calls into questions his motive is just a little bit brain damaged by the trauma of their previous interactions with anti-Mormon evangelicals online. And we got to be able to separate the two, But yeah, for one, I think Pastor Jeff is great. So anyway, what do you think? What do you think, Jonah? What are your opinions?
Well, I think that one of the claims against us is often that you think you're the only true church, which is a completely hollow claim, because we're actually kind of unique in that we think that any belief is better than no belief. We would love if the entire world were a devout Christian or a Presbyterian or an Anglican or Catholic. We would love that so much more than people being nihilists. And so do we believe we are the kingdom of God on the earth and the only place of the fullness of the gospel? Absolutely we do. But we think having some portion of light is way better. And whereas these guys are like, you believe in the wrong theology and it's a false Christ and you're going to hell.
We don't view it as a binary. We view it as a good, better, and best. Like, dude, if you got a faith, that's good. You know what I'm saying? If you got a Christian faith, gosh, that's better. If you got, our faith, that's the best. We
love it. We love Jews. We love Muslims. We even love Buddhists. And that's great. Believe in something. Believe in anything. And they always say, oh, you think you're the only true church. It's like, well, yeah, but we believe that truth, wherever it is found, comes from God and is good and is light and will improve your soul. And so we love it wherever we find it. So I've always thought that claim was so hollow.
Just compare Jeff Durbin and Apologia Studios with Pastor Jeff. Like that's just enough said. You just watch the two channels for 5 minutes and you totally get it.
Well, also, is there any church that doesn't believe it's the true church? Like, is there any church that's like, we're like kind of like, if you want, you can believe us, but it's not like aren't they all pretty much like this is the
we're
word
a close
of God?
second to Catholicism. If you can't make it to your local cathedral, just come here. We'll pick up. We're sloppy seconds. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Ed.
To give a little bit of power to Jonah, he said exactly what I was thinking. When I went to a mosque, I was met by the imam. He said, "Hey, what religion are you? Are you Catholic?" And some of you may know that I'm a convert, and I went to Catholic Mass, a Jewish Shabbat, Calvary, and the Latter-day Saint Church simultaneously for about a 3-year period, and chose Latter-day Saint Church. After I was baptized, I also went to a mosque, and the guy asked me about my religious beliefs. I said I was a Mormon, and first thing out of his mouth was, Joseph Smith, peace be upon him. And that was beautiful. That was a man that absolutely, truly understood what Jonah just said, that we are here to make, all of us religions are here to make things better, whereas Jeff Durbin and Mike Winger are here to inflict pain. And the Antichrist, ex-Mormons, anti-Mormons, they are here to inflict pain upon people. They desperately want you to leave the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and leave God entirely.
While calling it informed consent. Yeah, okay.
And leave the Messiah entirely, because they want you in despair. They want you to suffer. They want you to be in misery. They hate your guts, and that's what they want.
Okay, can you just freeze really fast for a second? Can you just put your fingers back up right there? No, and I don't want to be the only one that notices this, but I am going to Google right now, Donald Trump hands, expressive hands, and then look at Ed.
I'm doing.
Look at, he's like, Yes, these people, very, very mean people, cruel people. They want you unhappy. There's so much better out there.
I'm really doing my Kwaku impression of Donald Trump. That's really what
that's
I'm
pretty
doing.
funny. All right.
You'll get to this later, Cody, but in the Book of Mormon it says the devil wants all to be miserable like unto himself.
Okay, so really fast, we're 2 minutes over time. We got to wrap up the stream, unfortunately. So you got to read these super chats, bro. You
Okay,
gotta read
super
these live
chats.
super
Diamond
chats.
Dave says, I would pay money to see Cody read the Book of Mormon and post it on Mutual.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to actually do this, aren't I? There's too many people.
No.
yeah, dude.
David,
I would love it.
David S. says, have you heard of Morgan Philpott and his analysis of the Kingdom of Judah? You should get him on your show. David, this is wonderful. You should put this in the Ward Radio Discord under the suggested topics for the show thread in there. You should put that right in there. We have on our Discord a place
Do you know
where
what
you can
this is?
submit
Do
ideas.
you know what this thing is that he's talking about?
I actually don't. Morgan Philpott and the Kingdom of Judah? What's Judah? That sounds weird.
Well,
Sounds made
once
up.
it's in the Discord, Jonah and I do look at it. And
Yes. Yeah.
Jonah and I make calls.
Yeah.
Also, it bears thanking our wonderful moderators, Danny Gray and Fidget Crazy, for helping filter out our first rabid frothing anti-Mormon troll who was throwing inappropriate images up on the Discord.
Oh, really? Did you have to boot him?
Yes, bad stuff. And so we are grateful for our good moderators who are
Let me
fulfilling
guess.
their callings.
They were sending the PORN because that's what they always did. And yeah,
Yep.
this is the show. They think they're so funny. It's like, yeah,
classy people.
Funny. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, keep going.
That's all the super chats that we have. Just everybody's talking about Cody.
Now
Cody,
here's the deal. Look, our audience loves
great.
Cody, and Paulie Nike
Got to
says
set up Cody with
Cardin.
my cousin.
Now,
He's
Cody
so
is
cute.
single. Cody is single, but we will be vetting and rating on a scale of 1 to 10 any girls that are suggested as potential dates for Cody, because I am not corrupting his gene pool with ugliness. I will not have little munchkin mini Codys running around with red hair. Or with I'm just totally kidding.
Whoa.
we need a solid 7 for Cody.
You know, a solid 7. Savage, man. Okay, no, well, there's some really funny stuff here. Paulie Nikes literally just said, Cardin, get the Ward Radio subdomain for primary ready for Cody. You know what? Maybe we should just have suggestions for Cody the Oracle on our Discord. He's the one that got me involved in Discord. You guys can actually thank Cody here for the fact that Ward Radio even has the robust Discord community that it does, because Cody's the one that got me involved with it 4 or 5 years ago, and I thought that'd be really cool for this channel as well. So anyway, you guys got 30 seconds for any last comments you guys want to make. If you want them to be read on air, please send them during super chats. I'm going to be wrapping some stuff up here. Ed, you got something quick?
Yeah, can I talk about my Book of Mormons for a second?
Oh, super quick? Yeah,
okay,
hit it.
Super quick. The Book of Mormon I read when I joined the church in the 1970s. It's awesome. It is well read.
The book is blue.
Yes. This is the Book of Mormon I received from Josh Gailey. I have one when I served a mission. I admittedly was the old guy who served the mission, but this is from Josh Gailey. There's the inscription that Josh wrote on here is beautiful. It's in the Discord if you want to bring that up. It's so beautiful.
We'll probably do a whole live stream on this actually.
Okay, Josh Gailey
Bicker
is,
tonight.
is
Book of Mormon.
Josh Gailey is champion, evangelical, and a beautiful, beautiful man. And this, I know that Cardin has this in the studio. Jonah has this.
I've got it. Yeah, I use it for our family scripture study.
Yeah, this is the Brian Stutzman Book of Mormon Study Manual. What makes it beautiful is it's just the words. It's no commentary. The Grant Hardy is a good study edition. The Ridges is a good study edition. I'm telling you, I think this is my favorite study edition. Everything is broken down by the speakers. In the Discord, there's a couple pictures that are really good. Second one, if you want to bring that up, just 20 seconds to show how.
Bring up what?
After the second clapboard. pictures of the Stutzman.
Oh, what it looks like inside.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's just really, really beautiful what Brian has done to show. Yeah, it's a really good way of reading exactly who the speakers are. It's a lot less confusing. You don't have to wonder, is this Mormon speaking? And by the way, Mormon is the biggest voice in the Book of Mormon because he's the one that compiled it. But the difference between Nephi, Lehi, angels, Abinadi, Alma Jr., all that kind of stuff. It's a beautiful way to read the book. Honest to goodness, it's expensive, but I know for a fact Brian does not make money on this. He even approached Amazon to get this reduced in price.
So there's, sorry. Are you done, Ed?
Other than I think everybody should buy the Brian Stutzman.
Okay, we're probably going to do a whole video on this thing with Brian, and that is a resounding endorsement right there. And yes, it does definitely make it a lot easier. I also think that the Donald J. Ridges series does as well. There's a lot of people in the chat, Cody, saying that they want you to read the Book of Mormon and just give your fun analysis and so on and so forth, and post it on Mutual, which is the dating app. You would probably get a line out the door of attractive, articulate.
I am a non-member. I feel like I'm not.
All the more attractive.
Smart and sexy.
All the more attractive. All the Mormon girls are bored of the Mormon boys, bro. You would be not. What's the opposite of persona non grata? You'd be persona sought after, and you'd have a lot of fun. It was pretty crazy. And then also, they're saying please that they would pay money to see you do this on Mutual. So yeah, you got a lot of love out here. You know what I'm saying? You got to love.
Well, I appreciate it very much. You're all too kind, and yeah, maybe we'll have to do that one day.
So yeah. Anyway, all right. So Paulie Nikes, thank you for volunteering to help moderate the Ward Radio Discord. In fact, actually, I'll try and look you up and see if I can't make you one of the moderators as well. You are a trustworthy individual, to the best of my knowledge, and I know it takes a lot of time, and Danny Gray was one of the first to volunteer. Fidget volunteered, kind of ish. She basically said, "I don't think I'm good enough to do it," but then upon recognizing that it needed to be done, she kind of relinquished, you know what I'm saying, and begrudgingly started doing it. She's like that sister.
God qualifies whom he calls, Fidget.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he calls who he qualifies, right? And then, look, she says right here, I didn't volunteer.
Fidget is going to be a great bishop someday.
Yeah, Fidget is going to be a great bishop someday. That's funny. So anyway.
Paulie Nikes, what is your handle in Discord?
Acromar, he said, at Acromar. So anyway, guys, this has been real and it's been fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you haven't had a chance to like the stream yet, please like the stream. I'm checking it out right now. We got another 30 likes, but if you can like it before you guys leave, that'll help us out a bunch. Okay. Also, we are going to be, we had a super cool, fun video release today that I did with Jonah about the churches of the Apocrypha. But we got another cool one coming out Monday through Friday. But I'm curious, really fast before we go, let us know. Let me see. Let us know how, if you guys like the Saturday content. We actually were able to have a Saturday and Sunday video last week. And if you guys like that, please just let us know, because we're going to be actually trying to make legitimate daily content here as we grow bigger and grow onward and upward. Anyway, any last thoughts or things that got to be said before we get out of here, guys? Cody?
I mean, this probably could have waited till off air, but whatever. It seems like people are having trouble getting into Discord because the link is dead, so maybe do a community post or something with the updated Discord link. Because they expire after a couple of weeks.
No, they expire after 1 week. You're right. So I'm going to update that one today as soon as we get out of there. So anyway, all right, guys, it's been real and it's been fun, and it has been real fun. As always, for this and more, please check us out on wardradio.com.
Ed's got some fans too.